At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Well, happy Monday morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. It is Monday, March 16th. And we're getting ready for another work week, and we're getting ready to enter summer. Well, it's going to feel like it. It's still winter, folks. We've got winter for 4 more days before we go into the first day of spring on first day of spring on Friday. Summer's in my mind because it's going to feel like it. It doesn't feel like that this morning. It's still a little coolish out there, but boy, I tell you what, it is going to heat up pretty rapidly. There's a live shot looking out at the Sundial Bridge. Nobody out there. You know, I would want to take advantage of these cooler temperatures if I could be out and about. So definitely want to get those chores done early. Hey, by the way, I want to remind you that the Axner Excavating 59th Spring Sale is coming up. It's not here yet. So don't go over there today and say, oh, there was your sale. No, the sale starts March 31st. So put that in your calendars. Be ready. It's their big sale of the year. Be sure to check that out. Should be some great sales. All right, let's take a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast for your Monday, March 16th. I want to say good morning to Jackie Dixon. She is checking in this morning, and she is saying good morning. Good morning to you, Jackie, and good morning to everybody else. Let's get you into that Krueger's Quick Cast here. Temperatures right now, still pretty mild in the valley. You may have noticed it was a little breezy in some spots. That kept those temperatures up. Upper 50s in many cases for the valley. Much cooler to the north and east, 30s there. And you're talking temperatures mid-40s out along the coast. All right, so out the door this morning, it's going to be a little chilly in the mountains. You're talking 30s and 40s. But notice it's mainly upper 30s and in the 40s. So this is a sign of some of the warmer weather that we will see out there for today. And you see the arc in the clouds there? That's the ridge of high pressure that's building. It's getting stronger as we speak. And that is what's going to allow us to really ramp up those temperatures this week. Now, the wind's still a little breezy in some spots this morning, especially for the north and west side of the valley. 10, maybe even close to 20 miles per hour. But they should subside later on this afternoon and even going into tonight. No major wind events, fairly calm winds for the most part over the next several days. Now, these temperatures are reminiscent of what we would typically see in summer. It's right. But no, it's more like 90 degrees, give or take, for the valley today. The average high is 66 degrees out at the Reading Airport. 66. Well above normal for this time of the year. And it's not just the valley, but look at the mountains. Mainly in the 70s, even some 80s in there. And for the coast, you're looking at mid-60s, give or take. Now for tonight, generally mid-50s. So it's at least cooling off. It's not like the summer where, you know, it only drops down to the 60s and 70s. No, we're going to see a nice little cool down overnight, but still warm for this time of the year, even in those overnight hours. 37 for Alturas, 54 degrees in Reading. So there's your 7-day outlook for the valley. Temperatures are going to be hovering around 90 degrees, give or take, through Friday. Then temperatures start to drop over the weekend, but still well above normal even for the weekend. For the coast, I think you're going to be flirting with the 70s later this week. Inland, 80s. Weaverville, Trinity County, 80s for your daytime highs. That's also the case for many of the mountain locations, mainly 80s, really. And then we start to see those temperatures begin to drop as we go into the weekend and even into early next week. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast. If that's all you needed, have yourselves a great day. But we've got a lot more to dive into as far as the heat wave, what some of the records are looking like as far as breaking some of those records in areas. So we've got a few things to talk about in the deep dive. We'll get into that here in a bit. Taking a look at Lake Oroville camera, and you can see just the clear skies we have out there this morning. This is Main Street, Chico. One lonely little car out there just waiting at the red light. It always feels useless just sitting there at a red light when there's nobody else around, right? It kind of gets you thinking, do I run the light? No, don't do that. All right, Highway 99 at Neal Road. You've got those clear skies out there this morning, turning out to be a gorgeous start to the day. Of course, this camera is not in motion and never has been. It's a still image. Updates every couple of minutes. Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. There's Crescent City out at Harbor District. You've got the clear skies out there this morning as well. And as we take a look at your Bald Hill West, looks like a little bit of patchy fog there, actually. See that? A little bit of that fog down there. That's in Hoopa Valley that we're looking at, by the way. And this is looking out at Soda Ridge. And typically we can see Mount Shasta in this shot, but the camera has moved a little bit, it looks like to the north a little bit there. This is Fort Jones, and we are looking at a beautiful shot there as well. Just a couple of passing high clouds out there this morning. No fog in Scott Valley at this current hour. And there you can see Lassen Park. Starting to kind of see things clear out this morning and starting to see a little bit of sunshine out there as well. We've got Curtis Brown checking in this morning. He's saying, good morning, Mike. It's 63 degrees here this morning and breezy. And not surprised, it's breezy. It's that west side of the valley that we're kind of seeing some of those stronger winds this morning. Catherine Schmidt saying good morning. Beautiful weather for spring. Last year on this date, weather had 4 inches of snow here in the Castle area. Well, not the case now, right? There, of course, we're going to talk about Turtle Bay here in just a second. But Becky Ellett saying good morning from Anderson. I think it's going to be a hot and horrible summer. It might not. We can't always just completely read into what we're seeing now as a sign of things to come. But, you know, we'll see. Well, today is Monday. Of course, as you know, I like to hang out with folks over there at Turtle Bay. And we do a segment called Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals, sponsored by Grange Co-op. This week, we are going to learn a little bit more about Shakespeare, one of their newest animals that several weeks ago, in fact, several months ago, we met Shakespeare for the first time. Tiny little baby has grown. We're going to get an update, see how Shakespeare's doing. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal. You're watching Turtle Bay, Wonderful World of Animals. Which one's the animal of the three of us? Yeah, maybe a little bit here. We've got an animal right here. This is Shakespeare, kind of one of your semi-newest members, right?
Yeah, we've met him
up.
Yeah, we've met him a couple of times here on the program. We first got him, he was a little baby. And then we showed his UV, so people can go back and watch if they want to watch. We showed his biofluorescence. Well, we just kind of thought, well, let's see him growing up. Like, we want people to be able to watch him grow. And so we had a female before named Gucci. A lot of people really loved Gucci. And Gucci was about this size, maybe just a tad bigger. But he is not fully grown yet.
Still has some time to grow, huh?
Because it's a male.
Yeah.
So males and females are so different in marsupials. The female has
a pouch.
A pouch.
So, and the male does not have a pouch.
No, and most people forget that males don't have pouches. They just think marsupials have pouches.
Yeah.
But he does not have a pouch. The pouch is just for raising young in the females and growing those kind of pre-born fetuses. And the males don't have them, and the males get much bigger than the females. So he's going to probably double in size.
Wow.
Even though, probably still get probably another, probably twice this size, about 2,400 grams right now, and he'll probably get up around, in the 4,000s. So he's going to get much bigger still.
So probably about a teenager then.
He is about a teenager right now.
Okay.
Exactly. So marsupials are pretty amazing. They don't live very long. So for people who have been around, they may have seen that this is our third opossum in the last, decade. They only live about 3 years. We got 3 years out of one, 3.5 out of Gucci, and now we have Shakespeare.
Okay, and how long have you had Shakespeare at this point now?
So we've had Shakespeare about 5 months now.
Okay, so it hasn't even been a year.
No, we actually didn't get him till October. So
all right.
4 months maybe. And he came to us, he was a late season youngster, so he wasn't able to be released. And he's doing great. He's already learning the show, and people are going to be able to see him in the Walk on the Wild Side show. He learned Gucci's part like that. And so very quickly, these guys actually have like a smoother brain than placental mammals. And so what that means is the more folds you have, the more problem solving. It's more surface area, less folds, less surface area, less problem solving abilities. And so opossums and most marsupials have a smoother brain than placental mammals. And so these guys are a little bit slower to learn because they don't problem solve. But he learned Gucci's part very quickly. So we're excited for people to see him in the show.
Not bad for a smooth brain at all. Well, thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Shakespeare. To be or not to be, that is the question. We will see you next time for another edition of Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. All right, once again, I want to thank Grange Co-op for sponsoring the Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals segment. Of course, the animal family segment in general. Grange Co-op, they are an amazing addition to our community, and we are so glad to have them as a family member here on Weather NorCal as one of our sponsors. So head on out to their store. They got a lot of great things, and of course, great for gardening. And we're getting ready to start a new gardening with Grange Co-op segment here very soon. So be sure to be on the lookout for that as well. Speaking of our sponsors, Coffee with Krueger wouldn't be possible without our friends over at Wind River Resort and Casino. By the way, fun fact, they have been sponsoring Coffee with Krueger since day one. Yeah, pretty cool, right? So I want to thank Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. So we break the segment, or the weather segment, into two, because some people just want a quick look at the forecast at the top. Hey, what's happening today? What can I expect? But for those of you that have the attention span and have the time, we're going to dive deep into that forecast and take a look what's going on with this heat wave we've been talking about. So let's get into that. So the heat wave, one more week of winter officially. Can you believe it? It's still winter, folks. Yesterday was getting warm. It's going to be even warmer today. Early taste of summer this week with record-breaking heat. Very good possibility. And not just the valley, but even many of the mountains could break some records as well. And we've got a cooling trend, though, by the weekend into next week. All right? So right now, we're looking at temperatures upper 50s. And, you know, we are seeing still some breezy conditions out there in some spots, which is why we're still in the low 60s in some areas, especially the west side of the valley. We're seeing those gusty winds, keeping those temperatures low 60s. Otherwise, much colder off to the north and east as we'd expect in the mountains, and temperatures low to mid 40s right now for you along the coast. So we take a look at the satellite image right there. That's the ridge of high pressure. Now this is building, it's getting stronger. We're still going to see some high clouds out there for today. You can see some of those kind of spilling over on the bottom edge of that ridge here. But as this builds and gets stronger, more sunshine, and of course more heat. So there you can see right here, there's the dome. We talk about this dome of high pressure, right? So that dome, the deeper that dome is, the hotter it gets. As we shrink that dome down, we start to see temperatures drop. So think of the dome here, right? Where is the hottest temperature going to be in the dome? Right there in the center, where you've got the highest part of that dome, right? You get on the outer edges of that dome and it's not as deep. So temperatures aren't quite as warm. So you can see here, some of the hottest temperatures will most likely be over central and southern California, as you can see here, as we're on the outer edge of that dome through the week. Now that doesn't mean it won't be hot, because it will be. Temperatures well into the 80s and even some low 90s for the valley. But you'll notice too that this starts off here today, right? But it will slowly shift to the east here through the week. And eventually, we're going to start to see this have an impact on our weather, mainly in the form of basically just flattening out that ridge and pushing it down to the south and east and allowing some cooler, more seasonal air to move on in. So even though it's still officially winter, it's going to feel more like summer, and Friday is when we transition from winter to spring. Now, here's another thing. I've been talking about last week or so signs from the long-range forecast models. Still, timing, overall intensity is a lot that we've got to iron out with that. But we're still seeing signs that near the end of the month, we could see some wet weather. Now, the Climate Prediction Center is now taking us out of the drier than normal category and putting us in the, what they call, this gray area here is what's known as equal chance of seeing above or below normal rainfall. Now, what that essentially means is, hey, listen, we could see some rain. It may not be a lot, but we could see some rain. Better chances as you head to the north. So we're going to watch that for the end of the month. You'll also notice the main heat is now being shifted a little bit more to the east, not quite as warm for us. So temperatures are also going to eventually be on that downward trend, but not this week. This week, I'd say on average, the valley will be topping out about 90 degrees all the way through Friday. Some days a little bit hotter, some days maybe even in the upper 80s. And I think places like Chico may have a harder time reaching that 90-degree mark and even breaking records. But notice we see temperatures start to drop by the weekend, and even more so, still in the upper 70s, low 80s by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Normal high, 66 degrees. So even though we're seeing a big drop in our temperatures for next week, it's still going to be 10, 15 degrees above normal even then. So yeah, this is a little unusual. All right, so let's take a look at some of the records for the next 3 days at least, right? So here's the record high on the left side. The record high for Redding today was 89 degrees set in 1947. I think we're going to break that. The record high tomorrow is 93. That may have a harder time. We may not break that. But the record in 1914 for this date, 88 degrees, 90 degrees, excuse me, to this date for Wednesday. And we could top that out. We could break that record. So I think there are going to be some days we'll break a record, other days we may not. Red Bluff, I think you'll break that record today, may get close tomorrow, and definitely break that record by Wednesday. I mean, the record is only 84 in 1986. How about Chico? Now, these are records coming in from the University Farm. The records don't go back very far for the airport. This is where we've got it goes back down to the 1940s or so. So this is kind of a better representation. Now notice the highs are going to be kind of upper 80s to about 90, which may not break. There was actually a pretty long stretch in 1914, as you can see here, where temperatures were 90 degrees or higher. So we may not break any of those records here for Chico, but you know, it could be close. Now this is something I've been talking about here even since last week. Since the records have been taken for the Redding area, the earliest Redding has seen 90 degrees or higher was March 17th, 1914 of 93 degrees. If we indeed reach 90 degrees today, we're going to break the record of the earliest we've seen 90 degrees for the year. So instead of the 17th, it would be the 16th today. So we'll see if we actually break that record. On top of the record that just for the day, right? So the lake levels, just kind of like to give you a daily update. This is where we really want to focus our attention here, especially this time of the year. Where are we with our historical average? And so far, still so good, right? But the snowpack, we're beginning to see and feel the impacts of that. The lack of snowpack, that is. Now, last week, the latest drought monitor came out. Now, you remember before that, all of California for several weeks had no drought conditions whatsoever. But now, as we start kind of looking at number one, the snowpack was so low this season, and number two, even though we started off the rain season really well and very good totals, we're starting to see some areas finally drop below 100% for the season. So the lack of water that we've seen here for the last several weeks, we're beginning to feel those impacts. Nothing major, nothing to be terribly concerned about at this point, but we're going to have to really continue to monitor that here very closely. You can see here the wave heights, they are expected to increase as we go into your Tuesday. As of right now, there are no small craft advisories. That may change by tomorrow. But there you can see north winds at about 5 to 10 knots. There's your waves, your high and your low tide, and no advisories here for today. So your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. Trinity County, how about 80s for the most part? You see the cooler spots will be Burnt Ranch at 78, 75 degrees for High and Palm. And temperatures mainly in the 80s this week for at least Weaverville, and then back down to the 70s by the weekend. For Monday, for the coast, look at that, you're getting close to 70, especially by Thursday, back down to about 60 over the weekend. And today, look at that, temperatures 80s, 70s and 80s for the inland areas, 78 degrees for Hoopa, 76 for Orleans, 80 in Willow Creek. Will generally be around 80 inland and then back down to the low 70s by Saturday and Sunday. Now for Siskiyou County, temperatures mainly in the 70s. Some of the warmer spots will be Happy Camp, Dunsmuir, McLeod, but Mount Shasta City about 77 degrees today. For Modoc County, you're looking at temperatures mid-70s, give or take. Alturas about 74, 73 degrees for California pines. I think Alturas, you'll be in the 80s at least through Friday, after today, obviously. And then we're back down into the 60s and 70s by Saturday and Sunday. Eastern Mountains, you're looking at 70s and 80s there. Some of the warmer spots will be Paradise at 84, 81 for Shingletown, 80 in Quincy. Susanville, though, about 77 degrees. All right, we take a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast to the south. Upper 80s. I think some of us in the south will struggle to reach that 90-degree mark here for today, but it's going to be close. And it'll be close even tomorrow for St. Patrick's Day. About 90, though, for Wednesday, Thursday in Chico, as well as Friday, first day of spring. It's still winter. It's still winter, right now at least. Temperatures upper 80s Saturday, low 80s by Sunday. Take it up to the north, 91 degrees for Redding, 92 Anderson, 91 degrees for Red Bluff, as well as Palisadro and Bella Vista. City of Shasta Lake, about 92. Upper 80s for Lakehead and Whiskeytown. There's your 7-day forecast for Redding. I'd say at least 90 degrees each day this week. Even some 91 to, I'd say 90 to about 92, maybe even 93. First day of spring could get up to about 92, and temperatures will start to drop after that. We'll be back into the mid to upper 80s by Saturday and Sunday. So the heat is here, or the heat will be here. We're definitely going to feel that heat working its way back into Northern California. And again, we look at some of the records. Certainly, I think each and every single day, someone will break a record in Northern California, whether it's someone in the valley and even the mountains. We'll probably see some record-breaking heat today all the way through Friday. Now, again, it's not going to be a record-breaking day for everyone every single day, but I think many of us will see our records threatened every day through Friday before we start to see that drop in those temperatures. All right, well, that's going to do it for us this morning for Coffee with Krueger. I hope you got everything you needed out of the forecast. You know, we haven't checked this in a while here. Let's see the National Calendar Day. Let's see here. There it is, nationalcalendar.com. Let's go ahead and load that up, have a little fun, see what's going on here. Today is National Days. There you go. National Curl Crush Day. There's always something, right? Always something. National Panda Day is today. Well, I'd say every day is probably Panda Day. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to celebrate pandas every day? National Artichoke Hearts Day. Oh, man. And I love artichokes, but the best part of it is the artichoke heart, right? National Everything You Do Is Right Day. Well, I like that. And National Freedom of Information Day. Gotta love that freedom of information. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us this morning. I hope you have yourselves a great day. I hope you have yourselves a great week. Stay cool out there. Stay hydrated. Do what you can to stay cool because it is going to be downright hot today through Friday. All right, there's a look at Soda Ridge. Have yourselves a great day, and we will see you right here bright and early tomorrow morning. And by the way, I'll be off the rest of the day, and meteorologist Aurora Murray will be in at noon and at 6 o'clock this evening for your latest forecast. But I'll be back all day tomorrow to have all of your weather information ready to go. Have a good day, everybody.